Be sure to subscribe for more content.
What is up, ladies and gents? Welcome to the BigBC Finance Channel. I hope you're having a very lovely day. In this video here, we're going to be talking about Luna Classic, what has happened recently to it, and why I predict the price to go in the near future, as well as some key price levels I'm looking out for. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And of course, guys, if you do get anything from this video, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe to this channel. So without further ado, let's talk about what I'm seeing here on Luna Classic. And basically, you see my annotations right here. We've got two. We had this bullish line here, and we've got this blue line, which I'll talk about in a sec, to this purple line that we had here. We were basically following this uptrend, and we had the news come out yesterday about how much Binance had burnt. And don't get me wrong, 6 billion is a massive amount still. That's really good to see. That's still a huge milestone for the Luna Classic community, for Luna Classic as a cryptocurrency in general. However, I do think the expectation was set at around 14 billion. We saw a lot of numbers in that range thrown about yesterday on Twitter when everyone was guessing. And so, you know, when the news came out at this point here, we did see this drop here on Luna Classic as expected, because, you know, the expectation was 14 billion and we got 6 billion. And like I said in my yesterday's video, if the outcome was worse than what was predicted, then we would see this drop. And of course, it's hard to predict how far it would drop, because, you know, it's just down to how investors perceived this news compared to what they were expecting. But generally, I gave a couple of levels that I was looking out for. So basically, you know, this purple line was the first one. This was our bullish support here that was kind of carrying the price up. You can see it just literally holding the price up for Luna Classic since the 28th of September. You know, price has come down so many times to this level and bounced back off. So this was my first level that I wanted to keep. And if we could keep that level, you know, I was basically bullish. However, we did drop below that level. And I said, look out for this 30-cent level. We can even see that in yesterday's video. If you want, it should be linked here somewhere in this video if you want to see that video I made yesterday about it. But I said the first level was 30 cents. And we basically came down straight to this fib level here. Basically to the T at the 0.382 fib. And now we've bounced back up. And the next level I was looking at was 27.7 cents region. So in fact, if I just extend that fib a little bit, there we go. That's why I said 27.7, because it was this fib here. From the absolute bottom to the absolute top. So you can see my next level was 27.7 cents. And that was the next fib down, the 0.5 fib there. So if we can't hold this level here at 0.3, then we're going to see, if we can't hold this level here at 30 cents, then we're going to drop down to 27.7 cents as my next level. And what I'm seeing in the short term could be a suggestion that we are going to be heading slightly lower. Of course, this is a very short-term pattern. This is called a rising wedge. So basically we have two trend lines here kind of converging into the same direction. So the same direction here being the bullish direction. They're both pointing up. So they're both bullish trend lines here, but they're converging in at the moment. So what we'd expect to see is the price do something like this and eventually break to the bottom side here. And the price target for these are always this distance here. So of course, I expect this, you know, to happen within the next few hours. If you see this video, it might have already come below. And the price target for this, let's say it just dropped now in the same hour that we're making this video, the price target would be around 29.2 cents. So not a devastating loss there. That's only a small 6% in the grand scheme of things. And it's still above the price levels that we saw after the Binance announcement as well, as you can see. So you know, it's not the end of the world if this is indeed a rising wedge and we do see this price decline here. In fact, it's probably beneficial in the long term for long-term holders of Luna Classic, because, you know, the cheaper the price, the more Luna Classic gets burnt essentially. So that's what I'm looking at in the really short term. You know, by the time this video gets published here on YouTube, this might have already completed, because I'm seeing the price now really touch this line once again. So we could be breaking out of that rising wedge at any point. And of course, if we were watching this video, you may have seen the price do something like this towards this price level here. So if we do get down to this 29.2 cents price level down there, then basically what I'd be looking for as well is if the price adheres to a quite strictly declining resistance like that. And of course, if it is, then I'll be looking for the price to break it, you know, in order to not be so bearish. Of course, we can also draw a kind of support that looks a little bit like this as well. So if we get to that level, again, I'll be looking at whether this support holds. You can see that if we have a look here, we've got several tests, and this is why I think it is in play, because we've got at least 4 tests on that support. There we have one small breakthrough, but the price climbs back up. So we've got a fairly reliable support here for if the price goes down to 29.2 cents, and we could have a resistance that looks like this as well. Again, this may not be perfect. This may look something a bit more like this if the price decline is more shallow. But basically, my point here being is that, again, you can see the pattern is again looking like a wedge, but this time it's a falling wedge and not a rising wedge. So if we do see this pattern in play, if the price, for example, does go to that 29.2 cents, but then hits this a few times, then this could definitely be a falling wedge. And a falling wedge is here, and the falling wedge is a bullish sign. So if we do see this falling wedge, if this is happening, then the price target could be quite nice here. Have a look at this. So basically would look for the first test of that resistance and the first test of that support, which would be this, and would look for a breakout of this resistance here, and our price target would look something like this. Of course, all speculation because the price has not yet got there, but if we do go down to this 29.2 cents and we're bound by a resistance that looks like this and a support that looks like this, the support is pretty much in play, I believe, unless the price breaks below it. So it's just down to what the price does with this resistance here. If we see a resistance though, then we could be seeing this rising wedge in place. So my initial target for all this would be 29.2 cents, but then obviously in completing that, we'd be seeing this falling wedge and we'd see a price target of around a 9% pump. So it really depends where we break out of this resistance. If we break out a little bit later down the resistance, then the price target will be lower. But if we break out sooner, then it will be higher. So in essence, I'd be looking for a pump of around 8 to 9% if we break out of it when a breakout occurs. Of course, with every breakout, like I say in all my videos, we're looking for an increase in volume and an increase in momentum. Increase in momentum is easy to see as well. We're just looking for big green or red candles, not small ones, not shy ones like this, for example. We're looking for big ones like these. So that's what I'm saying when I say breakouts, and that's what I'm looking at here on Luna Classic at the moment, this rising wedge that we potentially have, and then this falling wedge. And of course, the ultimate price target would be 32 cents if that were to be in play. Now, of course, guys, I could be completely wrong as well. These chart patterns are not 100% perfect. So at the moment, we're still in this rising wedge. So we could see it break a little bit later on over here, for example, or we could see it disrespected altogether and the price comes and flips bullish once again. When I say flips bullish, what that means is we're now on the bullish side again of this support line that we've had here. So it was a support perfectly in so many regions back here, and now it's our resistance. And of course, what could happen is we break through it. We see a lot of price momentum because this is a truly established line right now. We can see, like, I'm not going to draw all of them because there's so many tests, but we can see several areas where the price has just tested this resistance here, this support, this purple line in general. So really, really established. So, if we break through it once again, then we're going to see a lot of price movement, I believe. We could come down to retest it, but then we could see a price move like this as well. And of course, extremely bullish if that happens, but that's a massive if as well, guys. So, and of course, my other scenario as well, if we get to this 29.2 cents here as the price target of this rising wedge and we keep on falling, then again 27.7 cents would be my next level down. And of course, guys, long term, if you're investing long term here in Luna Classic, let me show you why I'm not concerned for Luna Classic despite this downwards price movement. So basically, since the announcement of CZ's Binance's 1.2% burn tax implementation on Binance, we can draw the volume profile for what has happened since that point there, and we can see where most of the liquidity is, where most of the buyers and sellers are selling within a particular given region here on Luna Classic. And what I'm looking at here is the majority of the volume is concentrated around this region here. So 31 cents all the way down to 27.3 cents. Of course, if we lose these levels here, then we're going to go into an area where there's very low liquidity here. And obviously, when there's low liquidity, there's nothing going to be stopping the prices. If the prices are falling and there's not many buyers or sellers or anything, then the price is not going to stop falling. It's only going to stop falling when there is buying pressure. And of course, this is what this insinuates here. So if we see a lot of volume here, for example, then we know there's going to be buyers if the price jets down to this region. But of course, when we see no volume in a given price range or less volume, then we can see the price, free fall a little bit quicker without much resistance in that region. So this is why I'm not bearish at all here on Luna Classic. Again, if we draw the Fibonacci levels, that 27.7 cents region still lies in this area of large liquidity. So if we get down to this region here, there'd still be a lot of buying pressure. We're in this region here where there's still a lot of volume. Of course, if we lose that 27.7 cents level, then that for me is quite bearish, because then we start getting into this dangerous territory here where there's very, very little volume and thus very little resistance to stop the price from falling further. So for me, that 27.7 cents region is not bearish whatsoever. If we do head down there, we still see a lot of buying pressure. We still see a lot of demand for Luna Classic. But I do want to hold that level to be bullish. And overall, this volume profile as well tells me that this pump is sustainable. We have a lot of liquidity in this region here. So, with a pump of around 80%, for example, typically for most other coins, most other stocks, even if we see a massive pump like this, then we'll see that retrace if it's not justified. If investors don't believe that pump represents a fundamental change. But in this case, this pump came up 80%. We did retrace a little bit, but then the price came straight back up once again, meaning that investors saw this pump as justified. This volume profile proves it with liquidity being in this region here. So, this is a sustainable bullish movement in my opinion as well. We're not seeing something that could crash back down to 18 cents, at least anytime soon in my opinion. So that's all I wanted to say in this video. Basically, the summary of it is I do think we're seeing a rising wedge that could take us down to 29.2 cents as a price target, maybe further down to 27.7 if that 29.2 cents level doesn't hold. But we could also be seeing a falling wedge based on that price action, and that would take us straight up to a 32 cents level. And of course, if we don't see if we flip bullish as well, so my best bullish case scenario is if we flip this support, once again, this purple line, then we'd be extremely bullish. And I do think our next price target up would be somewhere in the 37 cents region. And of course, for long-term investors in Luna Classic, this is why I'm not bearish at the moment. We see a lot of liquidity in this region here. We see a lot of price levels that should hold the price up, and there shouldn't be too much worry about it going back down and completely retracing that 18 cents level there. And I do think the general direction still is a fairly bullish one as well for Luna Classic. So that's pretty much all I have to say in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you think I've missed here on Luna Classic, be sure to comment them down below. Otherwise, again, I'll see you in my next video.